Fam, good morning. It is Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. Can I get a roll tide inside the comment box? I appreciate you guys being here following Alabama's loss to Tennessee. Today on the show, we're talking about upon further review after Alabama's loss to Tennessee. We're going to talk about the fact that Kalen DeBoer is responsible, right? We're going to go over some facts there. We're going to talk about a change at quarterback. Look, I think it's time that Alabama has a new face at quarterback, and I'm going to explain why. We're going to talk about Nick Sheridan's offense, and we're going to talk about this Alabama defense. We're going to talk about the fact that a lot of this could be embarrassing, and it is frustrating. I appreciate you guys being here. Let's get into it, and let's start with upon further review. Please take a minute to hit the thumbs up on this video, all right? I love covering this team, but it's my responsibility to tell the truth. Okay, so, this video is going to have a lot of truth in it. And if it makes you uncomfortable, I get it, but we have to tell the truth to move forward. All right. So let's start out by looking at some particulars that are actually facts of this game. A lot of it is going to be facts. A lot of it is going to be opinion. That's how it's going to work. I'll also take your calls inside the comment box. So let's start out with just some stats of the game. You see that Jalen Milroe threw the football 45 times yesterday. It's almost like they were forcing to throw the football. And then I also kind of highlighted the point that Jam Miller only had 12 carries for 42 yards. Justice Haynes, 8 for 22. Jalen also ran 14 times for 11 yards. Now, I get it. Jam Miller a little bit banged up in the second half, but still just doesn't feel like he's a part of this game plan whatsoever. You see one of the stats that really stands out to me is on the lower right where Ryan Williams was targeted 18 times. I think it was actually 20 times. More stats about this particular game. You see that Alabama allowed Dylan Sampson to run 26 times for 139 yards and 2 touchdowns. We knew he was going to be absolutely fed. How was Alabama going to be able to stop him? Could they stop him? Could they limit him under 100 yards? And they failed to do so. So, look, I think that Alabama's defense yesterday, and I'm going to go over a lot of different components. I thought they did play really, much better than they had in the past, but they still didn't come up with stops when they needed to. And look, I mean, that first half, the defense really kept Alabama in that game. I think we all know that, Tennessee had certain opportunities, but, the defense played a little bit better yesterday in forcing the turnovers and whatnot. When we look to kind of some more high points of the stats, and we'll get going, with some more particulars about other things, we'll let everybody get checked in. Hit the thumbs up so we can notify more people that we're live. You see that Alabama had 15 penalties, and I'll circle back on that. And I think that really points to a lack of discipline on Coach Kalen DeBoer's part. I mean, I get it. A couple years ago when Alabama went up to Rocky Top, they had 17 penalties or whatever, but we continue to see this team going in the wrong direction, and it seems like the penalties continue to be an issue. There's a big jump in penalties from Coach Saban to Kalen DeBoer, even just year over year. 75 rushing yards, I mean, that's not it. That is just not going to cut it. Tennessee has 408 yards up to the top right, and they ran for 214 yards. Alabama on third downs, 3 of 14. That is absolutely terrible. And then to the right, 6 of 14 for Tennessee. So those are some game particulars. Let's start out with going over upon further review. I appreciate you guys being here. Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. This is my Sunday segment. I will take some calls today, and I hope you guys are off to a good start, and hopefully you guys got some rest last night. All right, so upon further review, when we look to the particulars of this game, you see that Alabama was outscored 24-10 by Tennessee in that second half last night. And it seems to me like there's a pattern that we are continuing to see. And I mentioned this going into the show, or into the game rather, this before Saturday. And let me ask you, too. We got 95 checked in. I appreciate you guys being here. Keep hitting the thumbs up to notify people we're rolling. I felt that last year's coaching staff, and I'm not going to compare Saban, from the past. I'm just saying year over year, okay? I felt like the coaches last year made really good second half adjustments, and these coaches don't make good second half adjustments. I think it's as clear as day on that. I think you look at teams that are able to make second half adjustments, they're able to win marquee football games. This team isn't it. And being outscored again, 24-10, you were up 7-0, right? And the thing is, and I'm going to talk about the offense as well, but I looked to one particular series in this game. Alabama came out and they started running the football with Jam Miller. Clearly, things were not working for Jalen last night. He was inaccurate. We'll talk more about Jalen in a second. But the crazy thing was, they came out in the second half and they started running the football and they started gashing Tennessee. I think Jam Miller had like 3 runs for 7 yards. And then all of a sudden they went back to just like forcing to pass the football. And I get it. Maybe the right side of the offensive line is starting to deteriorate with Jaden Roberts being banged up and Pritchett. And I even saw Wilcom Formby in last night. So just something that I noticed is that the second half adjustments are absolutely not it for this coaching staff. Alabama had 15 penalties for 115 yards. You could say Rocky Top or whatever, but there's a lot of penalties that I think are on the coaching staff, just not having these guys in situations, right? The substitution penalties, and being undisciplined, like the last play, a lot of people pointing to Kendrick Law in the last play. But, man, it's like we continue to see penalties either extend drives or come at the wrong time, for this team. So 15 for 115 just not it. And penalties, turnovers, those are going to limit you from winning marquee games. Alabama was 3 of 14 on third downs. That's absolutely just unacceptable. With the amount of talent that you have, with the schemes that you have, this team, in my opinion, is so predictable on offense. I mean, we know what they are going to call before they even run it, right? It is like 3rd and 12. Who are they going to throw it to? You answer inside the comment box. And here it is. I mean, look, I think Ryan Williams is certainly the best wide receiver in college football, right? We've talked about that. But my goodness, man, it's like in order for him to be effective, you have to be creative and utilize the other weapons on your team. We're going to talk about the frustration on the back end from some of the players. Man, yeah, I get it. Caleb Odom, he's a young guy. He probably wants to contribute. Losing sucks. Losing hurts. But, man, when another wide receiver is just getting it 20 times, like it's not creative play calling. It's not even beneficial for Ryan Williams, to be honest. I've never seen that. I think Malik Neighbors last year was targeted, 17 times or something like that. That's not it. You got to be able to get more creative. And I'm going to talk about Jalen Milroe. It seems like he's now a one-read wide receiver. The DBs, they were absolutely burnt. And I get it. A lot of these guys are young, but still, we see this every single week. And Alabama really hasn't played an effective quarterback. I guess if you look to Carson Beck, he might have been it. But quarterbacks have been playing above, their level. Last night, if Nico was able to connect on maybe 5-6 different passes, man, my goodness. Tennessee would have put a lot of points on the board, okay? And then Dylan Sampson running for 139 yards on 26 carries. Like, couldn't stop him. I mean, the guy was, had a really big night last night, and we knew that was going to be part of their game plan. Couldn't stop it. So that's where we're at upon further review. All right, now let's get into some real stuff, right? And look, if this makes you uncomfortable, if you have a hard time dealing with the truth, it's hard, but this is where we are at, okay? So some of this is going to be opinion. Some of this is going to be fact. I kind of mixed it in together. I appreciate you guys being here either way, and I'll be live tomorrow at 10 a.m. For my longer show on Bama Football on YouTube as we get ready for Missouri. By the way, the game is at 2:30 p.m. So here we go. All right, looking at Coach Kalen DeBoer, I find that he keeps dodging responsibility of where this team is at this point in time, and I'm not. Look, I see a small group of people saying, "Well, Coach Saban lost, and don't worry, it'll be okay." It's not okay. Coach Saban didn't inherit a team like this, the number one program in all of college football. That is what's really frustrating to me is I'm like, no, I'm not going to accept that. I'm not going to accept being, watching a mediocre football team when you have the best talent in all of college football. I'm not going to accept that. I'm not going to accept it when you are loaded with NIL money, when you have all these fans that have been, diehard and built this program and seen this program, be at the pinnacle. I'm not going to accept mediocrity. And it seems like people, I'm starting to see him get a little bit of heat. And I'm not saying run this guy out of town, but, man, there was, this is the biggest thing for me last night. Last night I watched Kirby Smart in, Texas, right? Georgia, Texas. After the game, Kirby Smart has that fire, that energy, that passion. I want to play for Kirby Smart, right? Kalen DeBoer, there's no, I mean, I get it. He might have been a little bit animated on that substitution play, but other than that, like Kirby Smart seems like a competitor that you want on your team, right? Like I want to go to war for him, right? Coach Kalen DeBoer, it's just not there. So I'm starting to see people kind of point a little bit to him, but man, like things start up at the top, okay? And that trickles down. It always starts up at the top. Okay, probably a great human being, right? Really nice guy. But, man, this is the SEC. This is the SEC. Man. You look at the penalties. I think a lot of this is on Coach Kalen DeBoer, too. You see the penalties. And this is just SEC. 10 for 90 against Georgia. 6 for 57 and costly stuff. Be disciplined, right? Man, you know what? If Kendrick Law last night, and I'm just pointing to one penalty because I know it's a hot topic. If he would have did that last night, even if Coach Saban was up by 40 points, he would be yelling and screaming and ripping Kendrick Law 1,000,000%. He would be showing discipline, right? I don't see the discipline. I really don't. And I see it extending plays or pushing Alabama back. It's 1,000,000% like a continued pattern. I don't see, like people have said, buddy, I don't know. I'm not at practice. But when you see the team performing like they are, it starts to like, you're like, damn, maybe they're true. And then 15 for 115, just absolutely like, your team's not prepared. Your coaches aren't prepared. The substitution, we've seen it again and again. Defense, making extending plays on, stupid penalties. It's not like some of these penalties are even like debatable. I think, and Timothy, you're right. I agree with you, man, for sure. This is on everybody, for sure. And everybody is responsible to go to the top, which is Coach Kalen DeBoer. This other thing, this is one of the biggest problems I have with this team, too, is the second half for this team. Just look, 27-11 from Georgia. Vandy, it was 21-17 because Alabama had to fight to come back, right? They were leading that game. Against South Carolina, it was 13-13, and yesterday against Tennessee, they outscored them 24-10. I don't think they make good second-half adjustments at all. I don't think they make good second-half adjustments when they're winning. I don't think they make good second-half adjustments when they're losing, right? I really don't. Last year's staff made really good second-half adjustments, and maybe it's just because it's a new coaching staff. I don't know. But they don't make good second half adjustments, in my opinion. All right. Here's probably what you're here for. Okay. So I want you to answer right now. Okay, and I get it. This might be difficult. It's difficult for me because I am probably one of the biggest Jalen Milroe supporters. Okay, so what I'm about to tell you is this is opinion. Okay, and also for and I want your feedback too. All right. So right now, inside the comment box, as many times as you want to, is it time to sit Jalen Milroe? Yes or no? And I'm not saying, and let me kind of build this up. But is it time to sit Jalen Milroe? As I've mentioned many times, I'm one of Jalen Milroe's biggest fans. Okay, biggest supporters. Watched him grow, watched him mature, watched him go through a lot to get to where he is at this point in time. And I've thought about this a lot of different ways, and I feel that this football team is at a critical point right now where something does need to change. Obviously, it's not going to be Coach Kalen DeBoer being fired or a new OC or a new DC. So even Jalen himself talks about control the controllables. Well, the offense just isn't it. And it's regressing. It's going backwards. He didn't have his best performance against South Carolina. Okay, you played pretty good up to that point, but you had 2 costly interceptions. They didn't turn out to cost them the game. But yesterday, I mean, there were so many times that Alabama – and look, Nick Sheridan let him throw the football 45 times. 45 times yesterday. Maybe it was to dig himself out. I'm not sure. I just feel that he's regressed in terms of accuracy. Started to see it a little bit about South Carolina, so much so that people started to say that Jalen Milroe was injured. I don't know. I have no idea. And I think, like, Smooth in here, what's up? I see you inside the comment box. You bring up a really good point. You sit Jalen Milroe, you ready to lose his team. And that's where I think, like, we'll see what Coach Kalen DeBoer, like, if it's his team or if it's a player's team. That's a really good comment, because is he scared to sit him because he'll lose the players? Like, no, man, like, when you're the head football coach and when you're the head of household, your job is to make difficult decisions for the whole organization. He's regressed in terms of accuracy. Started to see it against South Carolina, throwing balls up in the air, and against Tennessee. My goodness. And then look, I don't like Tennessee's defense is good. Missing the inside linebacker, but yo, that was good. But I kind of feel like Kalen DeBoer, you know, I personally don't think that he'll make a change. I really don't. I just wanted to come to you and ask you if you think it's time to make a change. I would probably say yes. He's become, at least what we saw last night, as a one-read quarterback. There was guys that he missed because he's just targeting Ryan Williams again and again and again. And here's my thing. Sitting him could be a good thing. And here's why, all right? Look what happened if we rewind to what Coach Saban did with Jalen Hurts. If he didn't sit him, I don't think Jalen Hurts is where he's at today. He had to go through that adversity. He had to improve on his overall game. I think if Coach Saban lets Jalen Hurts run that game, they lose that national championship game, and I think it affects Jalen Hurts for the rest of his career. I think it could be a really good thing for Alabama's offense, most importantly. Is it a player or is this a team? Like, man, the offense is way too predictable right now. And you have players that are on the team that are getting frustrated because they're not getting the ball and it's not being distributed. Can you imagine being a running back at Alabama right now? They do not use the running backs. We're going to talk about Nick Sheridan. Nick Sheridan, you're going to get yours next, man. All right? Man, I love the kid. I love the way that he represents the University of Alabama. There's a lot there, but this is not the trajectory right now of Alabama football. And I think you look at Missouri and you're like, okay, everything's going to be okay. I would imagine so, but you also got LSU on the back end. He's missed a lot of receivers like that are opened. He's missing on reads. He's focusing on one wide receiver. We know, like us, like on YouTube, we know what he's going to do. He is going to pass the ball to Ryan Williams. And someone said it. I didn't come up with this. They're like, is our offense Ryan Williams or bust? Well, it certainly looked like it last night. And you know what? The other thing is, if you go back and watch your rewatch, he has clean pockets. Clean pockets. I'm not saying sit him for the rest of the season, but something needs to change because the offense is regressing. You agree with me? Do you not agree? I appreciate you guys' feedback inside the comment box. And look, at least we'll get to see, you know, how the offense would move under Ty Simpson. Maybe it could be a jolt. It's way too predictable. All right. Now we're on to Nick Sheridan. I don't know why this guy, like, let me ask you this. Like, why, in your opinion, why doesn't Alabama run the football? Why isn't that part of their identity, even in the second half when Alabama might be even controlling the game? I felt last night, I was like, man, you know what? Nick Sheridan's coming out and he's utilizing Jam Miller. And I know that Jam Miller went out. But you still had Justice Haynes, so I thought, you know, at least give him an opportunity. This guy, I mean, the running backs are not part of the equation at all. I would imagine there's frustration in the running back room because these guys just aren't getting fed. I think Jam Miller is better than Dylan Sampson. I'm not saying, completely turn into an all-running team because you have so many weapons, but the running backs, they are not utilized in this offense. I would imagine things change when a new quarterback comes into town. But the play calling, man, is definitely inadequate. I point to some of the red zone stuff. Why are you trying to force it to Ryan Williams in the red zone when you can let these running backs eat behind this offensive line? And that's another thing that I've thought about, Corey's saying the offensive line can't run block. And I've also thought about that as well. And you start to have this right side of the offensive line that is deteriorating, right? I don't know what's happening with Jaden Roberts. He's getting more hurt every single game. Welcome Formby was in last night. But you know what they don't even do is they did a screen finally when it was 4th and 22. But there is no utilization of the running backs, and the red zone play is just, I really don't like it. And I haven't liked it this season. It seems like Nick Sheridan has a really good script for the first half. In the second half, it's all over the place. You know what play bugs me the most is the empty set with the Jalen Milroe just run to the right. At least have C.J. Dupree or Robbie Oots a design run when you have guys pulling. From, you're right, man. It's all right to have these uncomfortable conversations, right? Red zone, we always go right. David, see, if David knows that, I don't think David's a professional defensive coordinator. It's always to the right. 100% great point out. Super predictable. And I feel like the second half, you're just riding on these big plays. Am I crazy? It seems like we're just all right, don't worry. Jalen Miller will hit Ryan Williams for a 65-yard score and we'll be good. You can't live like that. You have to be able to sustain drives, whether you're throwing, with design plays or utilizing your running backs. This team does not do a good job sustaining plays. It's just too reliant on big plays. All right, Kane Womack, look, I thought the defense yesterday, for the majority, they did play well. Now, allowing 139 yards to a running back, that's not it, clearly. But, look, Kane, I think your defense took a little step forward yesterday, came up with some interceptions, this and that. But overall, teams do not fear going against Alabama's defense anymore. They don't. Look at, okay, you can, if you just block out Western Kentucky to Wisconsin. Look at the SEC games. Whoa. 519, 418, 374, 408. Teams know that they can move the football against Alabama. They don't fear Alabama like they feared the defense in the past. I always looked at Alabama as having this really capable defense that could stop the run, most importantly, and had playmakers. Now, I will say this, the secondary, if there's any area that is young, unfortunately, it is the secondary, right? But, I mean, hold on. You got Malachi Moore. He's a vet. You got Damani Jackson, who's played, right? And he's been playing pretty well. Keon Sabb, I guess he's banged up. I mean, Xavier Brown fighting, as hard as he can. Jalen Mbakwe, he got beat last night, but he's playing well. Overall, right place, right time, came up with an interception, also got beat deep. Red Morgan, they target him. Devontae Smith, he's hurt. That secondary, look, you know what's scary is thinking about, I think Missouri's quarterback got hurt yesterday too. But looking at what will Grant Nussmeier from LSU do to Alabama? He might be the only quarterback that's, somewhat accurate that Alabama's played. If Alabama's played a better quarterback, who knows? And that's the other thing, Big Chef. This Auburn game, Auburn will be able to run the football. Eastern Carolina just fired head football coach Mike Houston. He's the first coach to get fired this fall. That just in from Bruce Feldman. Oh, man. All right. Okay, this is also uncomfortable. I get it. we're venting, we're going over high points, low points. You know, a lot of this is fact. A lot of this is my opinion. I appreciate you guys' feedback inside the comment box. All right. You're starting to see players showing frustration on social media. We've seen this before in the past, but this guy is a wide receiver, another 5-star. Like the wide receivers, I can't even imagine how the wide receivers feel on this team because the ball is not being spread out, right? That's going to cause division, probably. You saw Caleb Odom, tweeting it. Probably shouldn't have done that, but the kid is frustrated. He tweeted out like 2 different types of things. Players that it looks like they are checked out. It looks like when you kind of pan to the sidelines, it looks like the players are checked out. I see a lack of passion from Coach Kalen DeBoer. Like that hit me most when Kirby Smart won that game last night. Just like the complete difference of those 2 men. Man, like, where's your competitive spirit, man? You just lost on the road to Tennessee. Like, people will never forget the Vanderbilt loss, and people will never forget Tennessee. And you have so much pre-win celebration with this squad. I get it. Have fun, do your job, but like these guys are dancing, celebrating. The game's not even won. And all these games are tight. I would celebrate or do the dancing after you got the W. And you know what else is kind of, this is the first time that I've ever seen Alabama kind of be like on the meme end of like, Twitter, social media. Like this little jump thing that they did on like, what was it, 4th down? People are like clowning them for doing that sort of stuff. That's the first time I was like, remember there was that one where like the Florida players had like intersected and they were like tackling each other and they were like the laughing stock. Man, I don't know. Why did they do this? What were they doing? Like shooting like a jump shot? I didn't understand this at all. People were questioning it. I saw them do it, but I was like, I didn't understand. Just having fun? I don't know. And I saw Milroe's dad. Did you see this? Jalen Milroe's dad was getting into it with a fan. Now, there was only one side of the video. All you saw was Jalen Milroe's dad, kind of cussing out some Tennessee fans. But we didn't see what they said to him, right? I mean, obviously he's frustrated. It probably wouldn't have taken a lot. I mean, everybody was frustrated yesterday. Did you see this video? They were shouting. They were shooting a jump shot. Yeah, I didn't understand like what that was. Am I missing something on like popular culture where you like shoot a jump shot or something like that? I didn't get that. Yeah, but the video is of Jalen Milroe's dad, and he's saying "F you" and "F you" to Tennessee fans. But it's only, like I said, it's only one side of the video. I mean, clearly he was defending himself or defending his son or something like that. I'm just saying there's so much frustration overall. Oh, and that was the other thing, Jarvis, too. Thank you. That's another meme that's out there, is when Mo Lindquist pushed King Mac, and King Mac fell and then, like, came to him. Oh, my goodness. Like, those sort of, like, we never saw those things from Alabama. Now people are, like, laughing. That's the embarrassing thing. All right. So, look, opportunity to get back on track. And I'm going to sit down and kind of do the numbers and dive into it in terms of what Alabama's chances look like to get into the SEC championship. And you're like, what? Playoffs, championship, playoffs? We're talking playoffs? With Georgia beating Texas last night, I don't think that completely eliminates Alabama out of the equation to still make a run for the SEC championship. We got to, I want to put all the teams down now. You have, actually, I could probably go full screen on this and show you right now. And I'm going to take your calls in like 2 minutes if you guys want to call in. But based on, and I'm going to do some real detail today, and I'll have my larger show tomorrow where I go for like 3 hours and stream. We'll do a lot of Monday morning quarterback tomorrow as well. But let's look at the SEC standings just right now. Everybody, if you're like a statistician out there, let's kind of look at the numbers overall and see if there's like any glimpses of this team based, because now it's not in their own destiny, clearly. So you're kind of hoping for teams winning and losing. But here's a look at the SEC standings. And remember, this year it's 1 versus 2. And there's a lot of teams that have lost. So you have to hope for different teams to lose. But here are the standings as of right now. So Texas A&M up at the top, 4-0. You have LSU 3-0. This is all in SEC play. You have Georgia 4-1, Tennessee. So I guess we start asking our questions. Could Texas A&M lose 2 more games? Probably. I think they played Texas still on the back end and someone else. LSU, could they lose 2 games? For sure. Alabama plays them as well. Georgia, I would imagine that they still go to Ole Miss. Tennessee, they could probably lose somewhere. I'd have to look at all the schedules as well. But now you're hoping that I mean, after looking at this, I don't know. I don't know if they're if they have a shot. But a lot of teams have lost at least 1 game. Here's Alabama right here. The loss to Vanderbilt certainly sucks. Vanderbilt and Texas play. Alabama plays Missouri next. So I don't know. A lot of football to be played, but damn, after looking at that chart, I'm like, we got to win out. Yeah. So Jarvis is like, seeing Alabama below Vandy is cringe. But we've been told that the SEC is not the same anymore, which is true. All these teams are good. This is like the NFL, covering the NFL. All right. I want to take your guys' calls. Look, when you guys call in the show, keep in mind that there's probably somebody behind you also that's pissed off. So they want to call in and chime in too. So when you call in, kind of keep in mind that somebody's behind you in the call queue. I'll move through the calls. If I say, all right, man, good point, that means wrap it up and move forward. So we'll open up the phone lines, and we start right now with the 417. Hey, what's going on? You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
Hey, Kyle, it's Timothy. I'm calling in from Louisiana.
Timothy, what's up, man? Go ahead, and I appreciate you joining the show. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, Kyle, I was rewatching some highlights. This is what could have literally broke the game open on the very first drive, was when they did the 4th and 1 quarterback sneak, and Milroe was an inch away from running that mother freaking thing to a touchdown, bro. I was like, oh, man, Alabama getting it. All of a sudden, stalled out drive, interception, and I'm just like, come on, not again. But the defense, I'm not going to lie, the defense held up. But there's some questionable calls, and the offsides penalty that could have brought them up 5 yards. The punch that Kendrick Law had, and then it was just a sloppy game. And Milroe, I think we already lost this team. If we start Ty Simpson and, we get the offense back in rhythm, everybody's, we'll find, I think, like you said, it's worth a shot. Like, you have at this point. Because, like you said, we have 5 stars that's frustrated with this team. What happens if they go to Tennessee and transfer to Auburn, Tennessee, Georgia, and they find, what they need, and they're getting 500 receiving yards or whatever, and they're happy and stuff like that. We have great players. We just have horrible coaching, horrible. And I feel like Kalen DeBoer being everybody's friend, you have to allow to fire them. You have to tell them, you got to give it your all. If not, you're not playing. Because Jalen Milroe did not look like he wanted to be there. He got the NIL money. He just was like, bro, I just want to go home. I don't want to be here anymore. And this loss didn't even hurt. It was a disappointment more than anything. I'm tired of losing to sucky competition. Their defense was good, but man, their offense was horrid. And out of nowhere, the 3rd downs, we couldn't get off the field. They were 6 for 10 in the second half, which is outrageous. But yeah, that's all I got to say, Kyle.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for calling in, Timothy. Thank you so much. All right, Timothy out there on the road, appreciate it. We go with 334 coming up next. Hey, you're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
Ronnie from Opelika.
Ronnie, what's up, man? I appreciate you joining the show. Go ahead, man. Welcome on in.
Well, our message for today is the emasculation of the Crimson Tide by Kalen DeBoer. At Washington versus Texas, they ran for 102 yards, Texas 180, but they had elite quarterback play. So they made up the difference. Against Michigan, 47 yards rushing for Washington, 303 for Michigan. Kalen DeBoer must add physical running game to his repertoire if he's going to survive the SEC. And this team currently right now in the running game, they're just not man enough to win SEC tough competition. That's why Washington got beat by 21 against a physical team. They're just not man enough. End of story.
Is it frustrating as a fan to not see them utilize Jam Miller, Justice Haynes, or from the running game, or is it maybe that Alabama just doesn't have the offensive line to run the ball?
We got 3 out of the 5 offensive linemen from last year. If they can't run over the left side, you got a basically All-American center, but he's not used to the physical either. So you have to be physical in the SEC. He won't win a championship not being physical. He just luck his way into somebody else knocking out if he should make the playoffs. If somebody knocks out the physical team, he get to play against a pass-happy team.
How
as of right now, I don't see them beating LSU because that defensive line that Bo Davis is going to put out should be just about pretty good once he gets to that part of the season, because he is probably the best defensive line coach in the country.
Yeah. All right, Ronnie, I appreciate you joining me, man. Thanks for calling in.
Thanks.
All right, Ronnie calling in from Opelika. And that was the other thing, too. Ben inside, he's like, I'm calling these overly critical fans soft fans or soft defense. Yeah, that was the other thing. It looks like we got Chris from New Jersey calling in next. The other thing is college football clearly changed like that. And, there's a lot of parity. Alabama fans are accustomed by winning by large margin. But even if the games were tight, like at least if you played 4 quarters and lost, it would be, you could accept it. Like what is happening and how they are losing, that is what is frustrating, right? The undisciplined penalties, the lack of running games, the inaccurate quarterback, the defensive backs getting torched, the lack of second half adjustments, teams not fearing Alabama anymore. Like, that is the case. I mean, because right now, like, I'm so programmed to think that Alabama just does whatever they want against Missouri. Honestly, like, I used to go into a game like Missouri kind of bored. I'd be like, man, like, come on, it's Missouri. Same thing with like South Carolina, right? Or Vanderbilt. You're like, Alabama absolutely has this in the bag. Like, throw something on the grill and chill. Now you're like, my goodness, like, what's going to happen? All right, Chris from New Jersey, what's up? What's up, Chris? I appreciate you being in, man. Come with it.
Hey, Kyle. All right. You know what? Let's start with something that's positive. All right. Before I go to negative town, I'm going to give Womack a B, and I'm going to give the defense a B plus. And so everybody, hear me out. Listen, they were on the field way too much. They're on the field. They're tired. Why? They didn't score a touchdown to the third quarter. I mean, that was a great defensive effort. All right, they're on the field too much, and I think that game plan was a successful game plan. That should have been enough to win the ball game. Now, Kyle, let's go to negative town, my friend. And we talked about this during the week. Sheridan had an awful game plan. And I don't know, and we you and I have talked about this. Where are the adjustments? Where is like Sheridan in Milroe's ear? Where is DeBoer in Milroe's ear during the game? A pick 6 on the goal line. That's taking 7 points off the board. Milroe, who I have defended I've ranted. I've had some guys. I hope nobody goes and listens to my Milrow rants because he really. I felt let down. And it was a horrible play calling game from Sheridan, like horrible. But now now let's go to the real negative town. Anything that Sheridan calls I believe, is a direct result through our friend Kalen DeBoer and Kyle. And I watched the show and I was freaking out in the chat, but I could see your disappointment and my disappointment, and I'm sure everybody's disappointment. Kalen DeBoer's press conference was embarrassing. Kyle, where's the accountability?
Yeah.
No accountability. We joked a couple weeks ago. What's this guy, like a politician? They don't answer any questions. They do the, what do you call it, the filibuster?
Mm.
I look at, what would Saban's face look like if he was the coach? First of all, he would have come into the room red. His face would have been bright red. Now, DeBoer's, that's his natural coloring, but where's the urgency, man?
Well, sorry to interrupt you.
Kyle.
Sorry to interrupt you right there, but you bring up a good point. It's like I saw Jalen after the game. He took some accountability.
He did. And I respect that.
Right? I mean, but, like the coach, I keep rewinding, like coach taking accountability was Luke Fickell of Wisconsin. Remember after the game, he's like, if you haven't had your ass kicked, you just did. He's like, it sucks. It's part of the game. But he took accountability and people liked him for it. Right? I mean, last night after the game, Coach Kalen DeBoer kept on saying, well, everything is going to be okay. And, we'll get this game on track and we just have to make the big plays. Like, oh man, like that is like, I really haven't seen him take accountability for, the penalties, the lack of second half adjustments.
Oh, Kyle, right? The penalties, Kyle. Oh, I mean, how? And you know what? I got to tell you something. An undisciplined team is the direct result of the head coach, Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
Now, listen, everybody listen to what Kyle just said about Luke Fickell. He said, we got our butts kicked. Kyle, what happened last night? Where's the responsibility, Kyle? I mean, this guy's lucky he hasn't given you an interview. You would be crushing him. You would ask him real questions. These fools, where are they? Where's the real questions? How come no one presses them? By the way, people used to press. I know they were scared to do it, but they used to press Saban once in a while, and sometimes he would bat him like a tennis ball. But and by the way, how many times did Saban take accountability? All the time.
Mm-hmm.
Man, come on, Kyle. Listen, the call that you did. I asked you to keep us off the ledge, Kyle. And you did. You did a great job. My wife was like, Kyle's so positive. Everybody just stick with Kyle. And then listen, Sheridan horrible. DeBoer, Kyle, I'm sorry to say this to you, brother. Horrible. And Milrow, and listen, stop with this crap. Ty Simpson, I love Ty Simpson. I think he's going to be the starter next year. You got to ride Milrow. We made our bed, and we're going to sleep in it now. Yeah. Okay. And I made my bed by going and ranting about Milrow. We're not replacing Milrow. But at some point, and listen, I'm not trying to make excuses, Kyle, please. At some time you got to block. How about a running game? How about blocking? And how about like forcing the ball to Ryan Williams? How about your beautiful girlfriend calling the plays, Kyle? Who's Milrow going to? Ryan Williams. I mean, Kyle, where? All right, listen. I'll let somebody else come on, Kyle, and we'll talk during the week. But brother, listen. Thank you for keeping us off the ledge. Listen, and I want to just say one last thing. Let's end this on the positive, Kyle. Texas lost. If we win out, we got a shot to make it. But we have to win out. That's a big giant question mark now. Let's try to put this past us on Monday. Let's try to get back to positive town. Let's hopefully we'll get back on the winning. Listen. One last thing, Kyle. Sorry. We battered Womack for 3 weeks, right? He kind of came. He stepped up. He did. So listen, now we're battering Sheridan and we're battering DeBoer. Let's pray they step up. So listen, great job, my friend. My best to you. My best to the undefeated. And happy Sunday. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide to you, man. Take it easy. That's Chris out in New Jersey, 865-318 and 614 coming up next. I appreciate you guys joining. Yeah, I think, when you look to Jalen Milroe, was he the main reason that Alabama lost this game last night? No, but he was definitely a part of it for sure. I mean, if you break it up into percentages, I don't know, you'd have to kind of get into, the percentages of why this team lost, but certainly that was one of the issues, right? The inaccuracy. When you have an inaccurate quarterback, it limits the ability of your offense to move the football downfield. When you don't utilize your running backs, you can't sustain long drives. Alabama did control the time of possession yesterday, which for, I think, the first time this season that they did, but some like the red zone calling. My goodness. What about in this kicker? You know what? He kind of slides off the radar. He makes me nervous, right? the kicker makes me nervous. All right, 865, let's do it. Hey, Angel, what's up, man? I appreciate you joining us, man. What's up? Come with it, man.
First and foremost, our defense stepped up in this game, no question about it. And with Kane Womack, he finally stepped up to the plate. But now I'm blaming this on Nick Sheridan and Kalen DeBoer. I mean, the accountability is just not there. I'm going to ask him on Wednesday what happened during the game and, why didn't you take accountability for the team's loss? Because the one play that we could have made the first down again was the fourth and second play, and he just decided to put it away. I mean, you could have gave it to Jan Miller or Joseph Haynes to get the first down. I mean, it makes no sense. That was the second week in a row we had that problem when we're at 4th and 2 at the trying to get over the line. I mean, it just makes no sense. He's too scared to run the ball on 4th and 2nd, just inches away to get another first down. It just makes no sense at all, really. And then Jalen, man, I love Jalen, but he's going to have to get better in practice to be more accurate. No more flashy stuff for Ryan Williams. I love Ryan Williams, but he's going to get other players involved because Tennessee shut down Ryan Williams yesterday, and he was targeted 22 times in the game. We got to get more receivers involved. There's just way too much talent on wide receiver to, just throw it to Ryan Williams. He can't do it all every game. It's too much weight on him. And if Jalen can't get his act together, I'd say just try out Ty Simpson during the game too, just to see who can run the offense better or change the offense up, Coach DeBoer, because something's not working. This Washington offense that you have, it's not going to work in the SEC. You're going to have – I mean, heck, I even think Tommy Rees was a better offensive coordinator than Nick Sheridan, to be honest with you, from last season. I know that's a stretch, but that's just how I feel right now at the moment. We were getting more touchdowns that way. And Tommy, man, I mean, we did better with Tommy Rees, to be honest. And I know we got a couple more games coming up, like LSU. I mean, LSU looks pretty good, and Nussmeier, I don't know what he'll do to Alabama, but we got to somehow, stop him too. But man, the defense stepped up, just with the interceptions, Malachi Moore, but our offense just couldn't score. I mean, I don't know what went wrong in the game, but I guess the crowd factor, kind of made that happen. But man, we gotta stop throwing picks, and we gotta run the football more. Because I don't know if I can trust Jalen now after what happened yesterday. To be honest, and I have every right to be. But we just gotta put it pass behind us and win out. And when Texas losing, that kind of helps our chances a little bit because we got the win over Georgia. I know the loss to Vandy, and now Tennessee was bad, but there's still a chance to make the playoffs. But God, that's all I have to say today, man.
All right, man. I appreciate you, bro. Roll Tide, see you,
next
man.
week.
All right, man. Take it easy.
Yeah.
Angel calling out from Pigeon Forge, man. We got a 318-614 coming up next right here on Bama Football on YouTube. I appreciate you guys joining. Yeah, you know, I did this before. It was kind of like group therapy following Coach Saban, you know, when he retired. And here we are again, you know, dealt with a lot of the frustration and the kind of the agony. Clearly, it's something different that's happening here. But, you know, we'll get past it. And we'll see what Coach Kalen DeBoer's plan overall is as he continues to, you know, take over as the head football coach. Here's the statistics right here of Alabama's defense under Kane Womack. And, you know, it's interesting because I felt like, and I would imagine you guys agree with me inside the comment box that Alabama's defense, they did play better last night, you know, coming up with the turnovers and coming up with some stops. The second half, it seemed like Tennessee did a better job offensively, and that's, you know, kind of been the theme that we've seen against Coach Kane Womack. So, I mean, 408 yards, 374, 418, 519. I mean, man, I don't know what the status is of Missouri's quarterback. I saw him go down yesterday, but, I mean, are they going to, you know, are they going to put up 400 yards of offense? I really hope not. All right, next up, we got a 318. I appreciate you being here. Who am I on the line with and where are you calling in from?
This is Thaddeus from Louisiana.
Hey, Thaddeus, what's up, man? I appreciate you joining me on this Sunday, man. Come with it. I appreciate you being here.
Man, I tossed and turned all last night. I got friends as LSU fans, and I got 2 points I want to ask you about.
All right.
One, about just 3 down linemen, high school defense that Womack is running. I know they did good yesterday, but that three down lineman scheme in the SEC, I don't think that's going to work too long. And another thing, who's paying these referees?
Kirby Smart last night was, did you see him? He was going after the officials. I'm sure he'll probably get fined.
This is exactly what, not just only the Tennessee and Alabama game, that call when Texas got that interception, and that didn't set too well with me, and it's just a lot of calls in that Alabama-Tennessee game. Whether it was on our side or Tennessee side.
You know what?
These referees,
Thaddeus, though, I feel sometimes like some of the penalties I felt like earlier in the season were a little bit debatable. Like, remember, like, some of the calls on, like, poor Wilcom Formby who got eaten up, you know, some of those were debatable. Some of them were on him. I feel like some of the penalties that we've seen as of late have been results of undiscipline, right, from Alabama and really on Alabama's coaching staff. For example, like the substitution penalties that we continue to see, that's on the coaches. Last night when like Mo Lindquist pushed King Mack and he fell into the ground, that's on the Alabama coaches.
I turned to another game and I turned back.
Like Kendrick Law, that's undisciplined, right? You have to know, because somebody was in his ear. They were trying for it. And you always know that it's the second person who reacts is going to get the call. So, so I see that from the officiating. In terms of like the defense, you know, that's something that people continue to harp on when you look at Kane Womack's defense. I think the limited pass rush is kind of a theme, but also, man, that secondary, if you have a really good quarterback, which apparently that doesn't really exist in Alabama or any of the teams that they faced, because honestly, if you really want to know the truth, if I went together and put together all the times that Alabama's defensive backs were beat, it could be like 15 times. I have never seen that. And yes, some of that is because of the youth, and some of it is because they're in bad positioning. You know, I don't know. It's just I've never seen them be beaten like that over top.
We have 4-star, 4 or 5-star defensive backs, but in high school, I played in high school and I played cornerback, and we would yell ball, ball, ball. Do they even do that to get them to turn their heads? Or nobody's turning their head. They just following the person around, like they're just running around, playing street ball.
Yeah. I don't know what that is, but good luck, man, dealing with those Louisiana fans, man. Stay safe. I appreciate you calling in, man.
Thank you, guys.
All right, man. See ya. Daddy is calling in from Louisiana. 614, let's do it. Yeah, I appreciate you joining. Who am I on the line with and where are you calling in from?
Kyle, man, this is Mike Scott from Columbus, Ohio.
What's up, Mike? Welcome to the show, man. I appreciate it. We go from Ohio to Louisiana.
Listen, man. I'm I'm heartbroken, man, because everybody see what's going on, but it's like we're scared to say it, man. And I know you said we can vent, man. We playing some pussy ball, man, for real. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, our offensive coordinator is sorry, man. Like, he should have stayed where he was, because I agree with one caller when he said Tommy Reese was better than him. Like, this dude, like, got all this talent, but don't use it. Like, he needs to go, man. Like, this is not, you know, it's about Midwest and SEC football. Big Ten and SEC football is big boy football. Not no Washington or wherever else he been. He ain't, like, he's not cut out for Alabama football. He needs to go. Then, like, defensively, like you said, man, listen, if we was playing against a good quarterback, like the quarterback from Georgia the second half, or, you know, or Euler or something like that, man, we would have got torched. Yeah. Number 5 is, I never call a player sorry, because they're kids. We got to remember that. But number 5, he needed a lot of work. Number 2 is young. He's a true freshman. We understand that. But they're getting picked on, man. And then Malachi Moore, he ain't doing no better. I feel like these guys are acting like Georgia was our national championship, and now they don't even want to play no more. You know what I mean? DeBoer is being everybody's friend. You know what I'm saying? Like, when we beat Georgia, he should have been 10 times harder, like, hey, man, we got to go. But he didn't do that. He let the kids celebrate. You can't let the inmates run the prison. You know what I'm saying? When you do that, you're going to have problems. And we look suspect. The ball is stagnant. We got all this talent. If I was Law, I'd have been frustrated too, because I got an offensive coordinator that don't go to me like that, and he's good as heck, man. You know what I'm saying? And he's dealt with that with a couple different coordinators, where this dude can play. He's not getting the ball, so he's frustrated. Jalen Monroe, like, man, like, I don't see the leadership like he was before. Like, you know what I mean, talking to the offense, talking to the defense. You got to hate to lose. And Alabama fans, we hate to lose. Yeah. And these guys they're not showing that they hate to lose. They just showing like, hey, man, I got my money, I got whatever, and, you know, it is what it is. Man, we Alabama fans hate to lose. Why you think we love Nick Saban, man? This dude hate to lose with a passion. He could be up 50, and he telling the players, ignore the scoreboard. Yeah. So these young guys, man, are not doing what they're supposed to do. They don't have a heart of Crimson Tide, you know, like the rest of us do, man. And he's going to have to make a change, because I'm listening to us talk, and it's like, man, we saying the defense played good. Where? They getting burnt. They ain't tackling. They get ran over. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not Alabama football. You know, Alabama football is like, hey, teams are scared to play against us. Now, everybody laughing. Yeah. Man, they not good. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, we need to get back to the standard, man. And I'm going to keep it real. That's why I kind of wanted somebody of Dabo's spirit. You know what I mean? Because Dabo at least going like, hey, where your guts at, man? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And scratch that money you talking about. Everybody want money. Now we in a position of this, Kyle, and I'll let you go. Let you go, man. I ain't talked to you in a couple of weeks. Man, listen, man, we in a position now. We just trying to keep our dang going players that we supposed to be getting to come to the school. Yeah. Now we in that position, because if we looking this sorry, man, who's going to want to come to the school? Yeah. These guys are looking like they defeated, like they quit, man. They ain't got no dog in them. Yeah. When you play SEC football, you got to have dog in you. Yeah. If you don't, man, you dog food. Yeah. So that's all I got to say, man. You know, Sharon needs to get gone. The defensive coordinator need to get gone. These dudes need a weight program, you know what I'm saying, where they not going to be getting ran over. I mean, anybody running the ball on us, when do you remember that happening? Vanderbilt running on us? Yeah. Man, stop playing, man. We gotta get some new stuff in there, man. Flat out. And I think DeBoer, he don't got long. He got like maybe a year and a half at the most to turn it around. And then Jalen Monroe, you in your last year, this is your money year to go to the pro. Yep. And you start playing this terrible. You know why? Because Georgia was our national game. And I'm out, man. I hope they could turn it around, but we got to do something.
Appreciate you, brother. All right. Good call from Mike up in Columbus, Ohio. Mike hit on an interesting point. And I do agree with this. I think that right now the way that Coach Kalen DeBoer is coaching, this is just my opinion, but I think like the buddy system is designed to keep players here and to be like their friend, to keep them here, to make them happy, because just wait until the transfer portal comes. And if you're losing games and if you don't have a hold of this team, maybe that's why Dabo Swinney was like, I don't really care about the transfer portal. I'm going to focus on these guys that I have right in front of me. It's a hard balance to do. I get it. You're going to see, and it's not only going to impact Alabama, it's going to impact everybody. But right now you have to, I guess, let me ask you this. Can you still coach hard? Can you still rip a player's ass and still have them show up to practice on Monday, or are they going to go into the transfer portal? Coach Saban said this on game day, and I always talk about this too, is entitlement. There's you are not entitled to any single thing in this life, nothing. And it's so much better when you fight through hard coaching and you work for it 1,000,000 times over. Who's been benched and who's played sports and who's been benched? Who's lost their job? Who's lost their marriage? Who's lost somebody that they love? And when you fight back, that is better. Nothing should be handled. I honestly don't think you can coach hard anymore. I really don't. And I think that could be the downfall of a lot of different places. Mike Fort, what's up, man? Mike Fort's back from Michigan. What's up, man? Appreciate you being here. All right, 504. Hey, what's up, man? I appreciate you joining. Who am I on line with and where are you calling in from?
Yeah, this is Michael from New Orleans.
Michael, what's up, man? I appreciate you calling from the Big Easy, man. Mike, come with it, man.
Yeah, so I've been seeing the same things that I've been talking and listening about for the past couple of weeks. To me, football is won in the trenches, on the O-line and D-line. And we're not dominating on either side of the ball in the trenches. Our O-line is getting pushed around and our D-line is getting pushed around. So it's going to be hard to beat anybody when we can't control the line of scrimmage, because that's where the game is won. The D-line has been one of the biggest disappointments to me thus far this season. I mean, they have flashes every now and then, but there's no consistent pressure throughout the game. And another point I've been saying, this team has no real leadership. I don't see anybody getting into anyone's faces. I don't see anybody holding anyone accountable. Mm-hmm. It's everyone's just kind of going through the motions. Whether it be a coaching, someone on the coaching staff, or a player like this. There's no intensity. There's no desire. There's no hunger with anyone. Another thing I said this. I remember me saying this. I said, our offense is too Ryan Williams dependent. There's no way a guy should be getting 20 targets in one game. That's ridiculous to me. And the boys was supposed to be some kind of this offensive guru. But why can't you scheme double play to scheme somebody open? Call plays to scheme up. Call plays to scheme up a tight end. I don't see any tight end screens, any wide receiver screens, any jet sweeps. I don't see any of that. Our offense is predictable. It's Miro looks for Ryan Williams, and if he's not open, he pass the ball, and tries to make something happen, and he either gets sacked or it's an incomplete pass. So I just don't know, Kyle. I mean, I don't see this getting any better, but anytime soon. I see it getting worse before it gets better. The so-called leaders on the team, Miro and Malachi Moore and Booker, those guys aren't real leaders to me. To me, they're more concerned about creating a brand and going on their weekly podcasts, for the parents, instead of really focusing and locking in, and upholding the standard. I don't see anybody on the team upholding the standard that. That was created by the former players. So and also the board, he he can't be the player's friend. Like it's not gonna work. And these guys who are NIL now, they're basically like professionals. So
yep.
you got to treat them like professionals. Like you can't be their friend. Like if they mess up, make them stand on the sideline. Like put somebody else. Like next man up. Like I've always been on our philosophy. Like next man up.
Yeah.
If you're not doing their job, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. Ride the pine, and the next guy supposed to be ready to go. Like we have a bunch of 4 and 5 stars, so like the next man has to step up. So I mean, this team has to do some serious soul searching, like to me, like and see how bad do you really want? Like are y'all just there like to collect a check and and gain fame, or are you actually there to like leave a legacy, at Alabama? So I don't know, Kyle. Like I said, I can't see anything getting better before they get worse. So it's going to be a long season to me.
Yeah. I appreciate you calling in, man. Thanks for calling in, Mike. Appreciate you, man.
All right. Thank
you. All right. If I didn't get to you today, I'll probably have another show later today, to be honest, because I think there's a lot to talk about. And of course, I have my big show tomorrow. And what I'll do for tomorrow, I feel usually I go over a lot of stats and details, but I'll probably open up the phone lines earlier tomorrow. So I'll probably have another show tonight, and then I'll have a show tomorrow. There's a lot of volume to talk about. So that's probably what the plan will be. I appreciate you guys joining me today. I get it. It is frustrating, and you have a right to be frustrated. Like, this isn't the standard. This isn't where we're at. I appreciate you guys participating in the poll that I posted regarding Jalen Milroe. I said against Missouri. I didn't say, like, for the entire season. Sometimes, you kind of just need a reset. I would just be curious to see if the offense – and the thing is, look, I certainly feel like the offense right now is really predictable. And if I know that what's coming, or like you see like the film guy, he does a great job breaking down things, right? I can't even imagine what a guy like that sees from terms of like a schematic standpoint. Like it would be interesting to see if Ty Simpson can utilize a variety of the talent along with feeding Ryan Williams, who needs to be fed, like 10 targets, right? To kind of see how the offense could perform. But the things that I'm really concerned about that are probably not going to be fixed this year is like, I don't think you can fix the secondary. I think the secondary is like where the secondary is at, just because of the youth and maybe the talent back there. I just, and maybe, some of the schematics, but I don't think that the secondary is going, I think we've seen the secondary for the rest of the year. I think the offense, you talk about, like Jalen Milroe talks about control the controllables. You can control the offense still. You can change some stuff up. The defense, I don't know. Like, this might just be the defense. But fix the offense, because right now the offense certainly isn't it. And leadership, you got to make tough decisions. And it's hard to be in a leadership position sometimes if you are scared to make decisions. So I challenge Coach Kalen DeBoer to grab hold of this team, to show fans that he can be the guy to make difficult decisions, to put this team back on track. We've seen it with the greatest coach of all time. How many times was he put in a really difficult position? I could point to many different times with the quarterback. I think Coach Saban had a really challenging time with Jalen and Tua because of those guys were like kids to him. But at the time, Jalen Hurts was not it. Not it, right? So he had to change it up and go with Tua, and it worked out well for Alabama. So, Coach Kalen DeBoer, this is a pivotal time for you to show what you can do as the leader of this program, right? It starts up top with you. I get it. Jalen Milroe is the biggest name, one of the biggest names in all of college football. Do you have the guts to make a change to spearhead this program back on track? Because right now, like someone said, it's not therapy, it's chaos. Alabama fans don't lose. You don't play good defense, they get pissed off. I'm curious to see if it impacts recruiting. That's when things start to get crazy. I haven't seen that yet, okay? Steer the course back on ship. Is there plenty of time? Look, I don't know. You go, now it's just one game, like beat Missouri. I don't know if Alabama will make the SEC championship. I have no idea about any of that. But what I do know is things need to be tightened up, because the penalties, the inaccuracies at quarterback, the limited running game, the lack of second half adjustments, the secondary, all that stuff equates to not making the SEC championship and not making the playoffs. And there's 12 teams that make the playoffs, right? I appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here on the show. And look, like, it's uncomfortable. You had to get comfortable with having uncomfortable conversations. These players are being paid a lot of money by you, like the fans. That's the crazy thing is, like, you have a right to question their ability. Like NIL and Yale, Alabama, when I went to the scrimmage this past year, they said, hey, if you want to be competitive, support the players and pay it. Like, you guys are paying the players, right? Want to see production out of something that you're paying for. Paying for Coach Caitlin DeBoer too. I appreciate you guys. Stay tuned for another live. Probably sometime like after 6 p.m., something like that. I'll go live. So hit the notification button. I appreciate you guys supporting me. I understand I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys. So thanks for rocking with me. I appreciate you guys. Have a beautiful Sunday. Be good people. And I will catch up with you as news happens. I'll probably do like another video shortly on the updated top 25. I usually do that in like short format. Follow us on Facebook, Alabama Crimson Tide on Facebook. This will be uploaded as well as a podcast to Spotify and Apple Podcasts. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for rocking with me. Kyle Henderson, Bama Football on YouTube. See you guys.